Welcome back, guys. We're here with our panel now to talk about this situation of abuse. What do you think we should do if we know someone in this situation?
I feel like it's something that I don't know. I want to get your take too, but I feel like it's something that you don't necessarily want to keep secret. You want to talk to someone about it. I don't know. What's your take? What type of people would you go talk to about it? Like teachers, mentors?
I think it depends on who you are, where you are in life. Okay. If you have counselors here on campus, I find myself that the most helpful person for a victim is a survivor who has already been there, done that, bought and burned the t-shirt. And they have paved the way. So I really think that if you can find someone, and there are agencies, and all over the country there are agencies, and we have one national agency that I would really like to give a shout out to, and it is the Family Justice Center Alliance, and they are out of San Diego, California. And they started out as a faith-based organization, but they are literally planted all over the country, and they can help victims of all sorts of abuse. If you need clothes, if you need groceries, if your baby needs diapers, there are shelters and organizations out there to help you. If you just need to get away, call 911, call 211. A lot of areas in the country, 211 if you need a place to stay, if you need law enforcement help, that 211 will get you just about anything that you need to keep you off the street and safe.
Do you feel like a lot of times people that don't know how to deal with the situation, if they have friends or family members that are going through it, that if they deal with it negatively, it can have consequences if they don't know how to properly deal with it?
Oh, that's such a good question.
Yeah.
Please listen well. The last thing you want to say, especially to a female who is a victim of abuse, whether it's a boyfriend, a husband, a fiance, the last thing you want to say to them is, he is such a jerk.
That's interesting.
Because they're going to come to their defense in most cases. There's still that element of love for however they see it or perceive it. But it's an element that they're going to come to their defense, and you just don't diss the other person. You just let them know, hey, if you ever want to talk, I'm here. Or have a brochure or a pamphlet from an organization or an agency in your area, and just say, look, if you ever need anything, you might want to give these people a call.
What do you think is going on in their minds, those that are being abused, and they're thinking about finally telling someone, but they have absolutely no idea what to expect? What would you tell them?
I would tell them that you're going to be scared to death. It is the most frightening thing I ever went through when I finally decided because silence is the biggest enemy of abuse. And we all know that, the truth sets us free. So I would tell them, when you make that decision that you're going to say something, don't do or say anything unless you have a safety plan in place. And that may be a foreign thing for a lot of people. They may not know what a safety plan is. But before you leave an abusive relationship, you need to be sure that you've got your legal papers, you've got money, if you need a taxi, you've got money to pay the taxi, you've got phone numbers, you've got a social security card with you. There are certain things, and once again, on the victim support page of my website, you can find all of that, and I can help you develop a safety plan. But it's very helpful if you could contact agencies, or let me help you help them develop their own safety plans.
I've heard of situations where someone is dating someone and then they find out, or before they start dating them, that they find out that in their past, their significant other has been sexually abused as a child, and maybe they never dealt with it, or they never, or they had dealt with it, but now that is something in their past. How would that significant other now handle knowing this, and have you experienced that at all?
Well, yeah, I've been on both sides of that. I'm very happily married to someone who's very supportive and understands. And there are still times that things will be said or done that will re-trigger things, things will, and I think it's important for you just to let them know if you ever want to talk about it. The key word here is trust. That's what makes a relationship, is trust. And if there's not trust, there's no relationship. You have to let them know that they have a place to put their trust. You're a safe place to fall, is what we call it.
Since you mentioned, like the thing you do not want to do is say, like, go on the attack, like about the person that's abusive.
Yeah.
But can you, like, if you're in a close relationship and you see that abuse, can you ask them about it? Like, is that a good idea, or do you want to not approach them about it at all until they approach you? Like, point out, hey, I noticed
if you
this.
notice something,
I
yeah,
noticed
because-
this. How do you feel about that? Like, is that a bad idea also? Or, like, if you're approaching them in love, clearly.
Well, yeah, and I think you have to tread very lightly. You might just want to say, you know, if there's ever anything that's really bothering you and you feel like you need somebody that you can really confide in, I just want to let you know I've got your back. Just let them know that that door is open. I would not barrel in and say, you know, I happen to notice he grabbed your arm and turned you around and got in your face. And I think it would be okay to kind of turn, this is the way I like to do it. I like to turn it around and say, you know, I was in the grocery store the other day and I just happened to notice this couple, and it kind of made me feel really uncomfortable. How would that make you feel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good
And
way to look
always ask questions in, how would you feel? What would you think? What would you say? And just use little nuggets like that,
Yeah.
you know, to kind of turn it to where they can start thinking and opening up.
I want to ask a question real quick, because we've covered a lot of, you know, what is abuse, what are the signs, but how can we actually prevent abuse from happening in the first place so that you don't have to deal with rehabilitation and things like that, so that we can save girls from the future?
You have to know what abuse looks like, and
Yeah.
at the very first sign of abuse in a relationship,
Yeah.
run, do not walk to the nearest exit.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
But even in most cases, this is happening with younger girls who, like when you were 7. So, I mean, this is happening at a time when you are probably most vulnerable to something like this.
Yeah.
My family's actually gone through the same thing, and the last couple of years has been crazy. It's hard for her because the people that abused her were the people that were closest to her. It was her father and her brother. And so for 12 years that she went through this, and it was great. Like, how do you adjust to that, you know? How do you help somebody when it was someone so close?
That usually is. Statistically speaking, it usually is. I believe statistics as high as maybe 80% of children who are molested are molested by someone they know. And
How
it's
do we
usually a
prevent that from the, you know, that happening from the family? Do we need to address the issue of men? Is that something that we need to focus on?
Men standing up and saying, if I'll give you a perfect example. When I was out at an international conference a couple of years ago, one of the men stood up and said, you know, we live on a cul-de-sac, and it was very visible for us. We would see this man abusing his wife verbally. It always starts verbally, emotionally, and he would grab her arm or get in her face. And all the other men on the cul-de-sac got together and said, look, we're going to go talk to him.
Oh, wow.
And all the men got a backbone and said, let's go have a cup of coffee. And they took him to a restaurant to have a cup of coffee and a come to Jesus meeting. And he never laid a hand on his wife again.
Wow.
They had her covered.
Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. And if you want to find out more information on this, if you're dealing with abuse, please check out Carolyn Hennecy with a C.com. And her book is on Amazon as well as Barnes & Noble's, right?
Yes.
Orange Blossom
Wishes.
Orange Blossom Wishes.
If you guys want to get more show updates, like us on Facebook and subscribe to our iTunes U account. And as always, don't forget to live it raw.